Hi, today I want to talk to you about chapters 4 and 5 of our textbook. I think these are some really interesting chapters. They're mostly talking about development of children from in the womb all the way to the classroom and how their physical, emotional, mental development is going to impact that. I think a great place to start is both in chapter 4, but also chronologically, kind of in the beginning of when development starts, and that is, like right at the conception of a child. We're in the zygote stage, and from the zygote stage, we breach the embryo stage and eventually the fetal stage. And the reason I'm telling you this is because development, which can affect a child's educational abilities, is actually going to start there, because right there in the womb, that's when we're going to get our genetics. And genetics are a huge factor both in how physically capable you're going to be, if you have any sort of learning disabilities or extra abilities. And um, a lot of your perception, ability to learn, ability to engage with your surroundings is going to be affected by your genetics. That being said, in during the pregnancy, if the mother is exposed to any harmful substances, any drugs, any alcohol, any smoking, that could also affect the child's physical health and ability to learn in the future. So I think it's important that we look at that early stage in the development as a crucial part of where we're getting our kids when they're in the classroom. Next is the birth of the child. That's when we could really start to feel the connections that they're going to have with their family. There's the big debate: what is more impactful, like nature versus nurture. But as educators, I think it's important that we realize the value of nature in tandem with nurture. I think they're both really important things, because someone is going to have their base set of genetics, a kind of predisposition, strengths and weaknesses, genetically speaking. But on top of that, how they're raised, the kind of environment they grow up in, what they need, what they're going through at home, that is going to be a big determining factor as well. So as they're growing up, we kind of start getting into chapter 5 when it talks about the physical development of the child. Um, we have their parents and their local immediate family with them, that's helping raise them. But whether a child has immediate and reliable access to food is going to be a big deal. Whether the child is physically active is a really big deal. And when they have food, is the food nutritionally good for them? Like, are they getting the kind of vitamins that they need to grow? Are they getting the kind of macronutrients that they're going to need to grow? And that's really crucial too. Um, kind of going backwards to genetics a little bit, I want to point out that not all kids are going to develop at the same pace, right? So as kids grow up, and everyone has access to different things, their fine motor skills are not all going to develop at the same time. Their executive functioning skills might grow at different paces. This is when I want to get into the kind of the brain synapses. But before that, I want to ask you a question. Put genetics aside for just a moment. It's an important thing to think about. But I want you to think of two students. One student was very physically active yesterday. They went to the playground with their mom and with their friends, and they had a good time. They went to bed at a good time at night. They slept the whole night because it was quiet and they had a warm bed to sleep in. They woke up in the morning. They had a yummy breakfast, and they showed up to school. I want you to picture this kid. How ready is he for the day? How ready is he to learn? Okay, now picture that. I want you to now picture child two. Child two went laid on the couch all day yesterday because his parents didn't want him going outside and he didn't have any toys to play with. And he went to bed around 3 a.m. because his parents were yelling all night. And he was hungry because there was no dinner available for him. He wakes up and there's no breakfast available for him, and he's tired, and he gets sent to school. how is that kid, comparatively to kid one, ready to learn? It's probably not quite as, they're probably not quite in the same space. So I think it's important as educators to learn that, well, besides genetics, some kids just emotionally and at their homes are going to come from different backgrounds, and that is going to impact their immediate ability to engage with content, to retain information, and really to care. If they're worried about things at home, really crucial things, it might be hard for them to engage with the content that you're trying to tell them because it's just not registering as that important to them in the moment. And now some kids, they might have learning disabilities, genetically speaking, like dyslexia. You might have a more severe case of someone on the autism spectrum disorder. You might have people with Down syndrome. But all these people have, despite their genetic predisposition, with the proper help, with the proper support group around them and the attention, they can succeed and they can do something that is really special with their lives. They just need to be given the right amount of support and care and engagement. You have to meet them where they are, because little Timmy, who is 6, and little Johnny, who is 6, may be on 2 different developmental stages, even though they're both 6, just because genetically speaking, maybe one kid is grasping certain executive functions a little bit better. His problem solving is a little bit quicker, but maybe he's having a hard time grasping a certain subject that little Johnny's just picking up right away. So I think it's important to realize everybody's developing at different rates. They're not adults. We can't treat them as adults. We have to treat them as the children that they are and meet them where they are as educators. So back to the brain function. I want to take this right here as kind of my example. So I want you to think of something that used to be very challenging for you, whether that was an exercise or a tricky route home, or just something that you used to have to put a lot of cognitive bandwidth in, and now it's like that. You don't even think about it. That was me with guitar. When I was learning chords with guitar, I had to manually place every single finger where they needed to be, and I looked and I double checked, and then I'd play it, and I'm like, okay, that sounds right. And then when I switched chords, I'd go and I'd put every single finger down, and I'd play it again, and then it was really tricky, and it took a lot of neurocognitive bandwidth just to put my fingers in the right place. And now it's not an issue at all. I could trade chords, I could talk at the same time. It's not even an issue. And that is because I have neurons in my brain, my brain cells, and I made these neural pathways, these synapses, and I cemented them so hard with repetition and with familiarity, and I did it so much that now it's just ingrained in my brain. It's something that's not very difficult to do at all. Well, most of these kids, they're all brand new to being alive, especially the younger ones. They're building those neural pathways and to strengthen those neural pathways, the myoplasty, I forget the word, but they're building their ability to do what I just did with guitar, with reading, with writing, with thinking critically, with engaging with their peers, with math. So it's going to take a while, and it's important as educators to be patient, understand that these children are new to these kind of problem solving, and to make a classroom an environment that is going to nurture that kind of learning where they can really get hands-on, they can engage with the content, they can repeat it a couple times, they can really let that sink in. Maybe when they're young, if they can get up and be physically active and engage with it a little bit more, that could be exciting too. So let's recap. We have development starting in the womb with their genetics, with how the conditions are in the womb. And then we have early childhood, which is shaped both by genetics, shaped by how the relationships that they form with their parents and how that's going to impact their whole life. And then we have how different kids are going to, at different rates, both because of their genetics and their background, their nature and their nurture, going to adapt to content, and how we are going to make sure that we're aware of these things, these developmental milestones, and not replace Not use that information to replace how we teach, but use that information in tandem with how we teach to make sure that we are providing the best classroom experience possible and helping each kid learn to the best of their ability. Thank you.